Assalamu alaikum YouTube, this is Mirza. In today's video, I wanted to look at the three groups in the Qur'an in the beginning, in Surah 2, the al-mutaqoon, the al-kafirun, and the al-lazina kafaru, just to give you an idea about what the Qur'an means by these groups. Now, the traditional translators usually lump the al-kafirun and al-lazina kafaru into the category of the unbelievers, and mu'minun and the muttaqoon and the muslimun are all lumped into the category of the believers, which is a very superficial understanding of what these words mean. If we look in the Quran, we see that these are subsets, and these are more specific groups, and they cross the lines of religion altogether. And before I start, I wanted to give you an update on my work, Means of Insight Theology of the Quran, which is finished, but I've decided to wait on Brother Gerrans' revised translation to be available. And once that's done, God willing, I will include his revised verses and publish my work, and will be downloadable for free from willyounotreason.com. And also, that this video is based on the work of Sam Gerrans, the Quran, A Complete Revelation, which can again be downloaded for free from Qur'anite.com. I encourage you to definitely read his commentary and his translation. Now, coming back to the topic at hand, the Quran defines in no uncertain terms what these al-kafirun, al-lazina, kafaru, and al-muttaqin are right in the beginning. We just have to look into the Quran to see what it means. So we're going to start with Surah 1, and it goes, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God, Ar-Rahman, the Almighty, Ar-Rahim, the Merciful. Now, again, the traditionalist translator, because they haven't really done a pentecostal analysis of the Quran, as in they have not gone through the Quran and looked at the usage of a specific word across the whole text. They missed that Ar-Rahman does not mean compassionate or beneficent as it's usually translated, but it actually means omnipotent, or the Almighty, or the All-Powerful. And we find that very clearly in a passage in the Quran where it says, Ar-Rahman, Alam al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan, Wan Najmu wa Shajru Yasjudan. And I'm going to translate it as roughly translated. It just goes something like this: Ar-Rahman, the Almighty, Alam al-Quran, taught the Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, created man, Allamahul Bayan, taught him speech or understanding, One Najmu wa Shajru Yasjudan, and the stars and the trees submit to him. And again, the traditional translator will say, well, Yasjudan means like prostrating, which obviously does not make any sense in context of trees and stars. And we're not going to get into that topic right now. So to continue, we have in ayat 2, we have Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, which means praise belongs to God. Alhamd, hamd means praise. Lillahi, to God. Rabbil Alameen, sustainer of mankind. The Lord of all mankind is how Brother Gerrans translates it. But basically the concept is that he is the sustainer. He is the one who is running everything. Al-Rahman Ar-Rahim, again, it's the same Al-Rahman Ar-Rahim that we saw in ayat 1. Maliki Yawmiddin, master of the day of Deen. Now, Deen, Brother Gerrans translates it as judgment in this instance, but the idea is that it's a doctrine, and he translated a doctrine elsewhere. Because basically what Deen is, it's a sum total of what your beliefs are, and everyone has some beliefs that they operate on. There's no one who doesn't have a set of beliefs. This set of beliefs is your outlook in life, and even if someone says I don't believe in anything, he still believes in something. Otherwise, there's no reason to get out of bed. So this sum total of beliefs is what the Deen is. And on that day, your real beliefs, what the sort of the seed of your actions, will be examined, and that day the king, the master of the day of judgment, God, will account you for your true Deen, your true doctrine. Ayat 5, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, thee alone will we serve, and from thee alone will we seek help. Now, na'budu is usually translated as worship, and Again, if you go through the Quran with a fine-tooth comb and look at all the instances of abad, which is the root, you will quickly see that abad does not mean worship in the sense of prostration or singing hymns or any of that sort of stuff. It's actually actions. And sure, remembering God is part of our duty, and so it does come into the construct of abad, of service. But to just say that it's rituals that comprise abad is again very short-sighted. Okay, to continue, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, guide thou us to the straight path. Now we're gonna see that this sirat, this sirat al-mustaqim, is used many places in the Quran, and in you can go and look in the Quran to see the straight path. God gives you the straight path in black and white, just no uncertain terms, and that is the thing that we're supposed to be on, and obviously that includes serving God and helping the needy, feeding the needy, taking care of your parents, or speaking kindly to mankind, and all those sort of things, which obviously everyone, all the Jews and Christians, were commanded to do the same thing. Now we come to the critical phrase, the end, the last ayat. Sirat al-lazina an'amta alayhim, the path of those whom thou hast favored. So this is the first group, those he who has favored, because what's happening is that this is being set up for Surah 2. These definitions, these terms, and we're gonna see that these are three separate groups that will be obviously expanded upon in the next surah. So the path of those whom thou hast favored, this is the first group, the muttaqoon. غير المغضوب عليهم, nor of those who incur wrath. Now we're gonna see that this is the group that is referred to as the al-lazina, kafaru. ولا الضالين, nor of those who go astray, and this is the final third group, which is the al-kafirun, al-kafirun. So the path of those whom thou hast favored, not of those who incur wrath, nor of those who go astray. These are the three groups. Now we see in the next surah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Almighty, the Merciful. Alif Lam Mim, which is the muqattat. Dalikul kitabu la rayba fihi, that is the covenant about which there is no doubt. Again, you'll see traditional translators translate Dalika as this, and Brother Gerrans and A.J. Arbery, according to his commentary, are the only two people who've actually translated as that, because that's what Dalika means, that, and Hada means this. So this is very basic Arabic, just trying to show you that the translators are biased in how they translate the Qur'an, because if they were translating it correctly, they would use the term that, but that just opens up another can of worms for them, because then they have to explain what Alif Lam Mim means, so they just basically change it. Now, the Al-Kitab is the book, usually translated as the law, the writ, the covenant. And basically the idea is that the law is encapsulated in the Quran and in other revelations. And it's the same law, the one law, and you can read about the law in the Quran many times. It tells you that, the 10 commandments that is always bandied around are definitely part of that law. And also, what you will notice is that the Quran itself is an exposition of the law. It says that it is an exposition of the law about which there is no doubt. The law is the law, and the Quran is explaining it, which basically blows away the whole idea that you need a separate literature called the Hadith to explain the Quran, because the Quran is itself an explanation of the Al-Kitab. So now moving forward, it says Hudan lil-Muttaqin, guidance for those of prudent fear. So what is guidance for the prudent fear? The law, as in hold fast to the law. That is guidance for those of prudent fear. Hudan lil-Muttaqin. Now Muttaqin is those possessing prudent fear, taqwa, fear of God. Al-lazina yu'minuna bil-ghaybi, those who believe in the unseen. Okay? وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, and uphold the duty. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and spend of what we provide them. So this is again giving you a sort of the characteristics of these people, because it's not just a show of words. It actually means something in the context of the Quran, as in actions. So they believe in the unseen, and they uphold the duty, as in they implement the imperatives in the Quran. And obviously the word salat has been basically turned into a ritual prayer by the traditionalists, which again, if you look in the Quran for the word salat, you'll quickly realize that it's much more than any prayer. It's talking about holding fast to the revelation of God, remembering God, doing good deeds, implementing the commandments, the imperatives of God. That's the salat. And everything does salat. As we read in the Quran, it says that the birds do their salat. Now, how does that make any sense if we just think of it as a ritual prayer? To coming back to, this is ayat 3. Now we go to ayat 4. al-lazina yu'minuna bima unzila alayka, and those who believe in what is sent down to thee, and what was sent down before thee, وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, and of the hereafter are certain. So this is the characterization of those of prudent fear, the muttaqin. أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ, these are upon guidance from their Lord. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ, and these are the successful. So basically, this is the, again, when chapter 1 was setting up those three categories, and it was talking about the path of doom of those whom thou hast favored. This is those whom God has favored, that they are on guidance from God, and they're successful in this life and the next. Okay, now we move on to the second category, okay, who have incurred God's wrath. And it says, those who are indifferent to warning, al-lazina kafaru, okay? Sawa alayhim anzartuhum am lam tunzirhum la yu'minun. It is the same to them whether thou warnest them or thou hast not warned them. They do not believe. Now, again, this is, the traditionalist thinks that this is referring to the unbelievers, and sure, it does at some level, but what we're talking about is people who are oblivious to what their responsibility is towards God and what their purpose in life is. They're eating and drinking and talking nonsense and just completely absorbed in entertainment and life. And how's the Quran put it? Ghaflat, as in they are in heedlessness. So these are the people that are the al-lazina kafaru. They just don't care. And if you warn them or you don't warn them, it is the same for them, because they are just like the cattle, deaf, dumb, and blind, to use Quranic parlance. And then we have finally their attributes. They do not believe. It is the same to them whether you warn them or do not warn them. And because God has sealed their hearing, we read here, خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ سَمِعِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَوَاتًا. Okay, so their hearts is a seal. Khatam means a seal, covering, and over their hearing and their seeing is a covering, and they have a tremendous punishment. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. So this is the second category, those who have incurred God's wrath. And then the final category are those who go astray. We read that in ayat 8. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. And among men is he who says, we believe in God and the last day, and they are not believers. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They would deceive God and those who heed warning. And again, this is important. They think that they are deceiving God and those who heed warning. وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُم. But they deceive only themselves. وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. And they perceive not. So they think that they are deceiving God and the believers, but in actuality they're only deceiving themselves. God sees through their talk. And it's the same for the believers. They see through their talk, because again, it's about actions. It's about doing something, not just talking. في قلوبهم مرض. In their hearts is disease. فزادهم الله مرضا. So God increases them in disease. ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. And they have a painful punishment for that about which they lied. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, and when it is said to them, work not corruption in the earth, قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ, they say, we are but those who do right. So this is a characteristic of the al-kafirun. They are running around causing corruption, and when it's told to them, do not cause corruption, they say, we are doing the right thing. They are 100% belief, they are 100% certain that what they're doing is the right thing to do, and that, that they are the ones who are reforming, as the elites put it, we're bringing order to the world, but they're actually the ones who are causing corruption. It says, Allah innahum humul mufsidun, in truth it is they who are the workers of corruption, walakin la yash'arun, but they perceive not. So basically they're in a tough spot because they have because God has put us because God has misguided them. They are completely oblivious to what they're doing is the wrong thing. Their understanding is that's the right thing, but they are not. They do not have the shaur. They don't have the perception that it's one of those things that if you talk to these people and you tell them, they'll just straight up deny that they are doing the wrong thing, and they'll straight up deny that they are not believers. They'll say, no, we are believers. Because they are elitist. We read in ayat 13, it says, to continue, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفْهَةُ, and when it is said to them, believe as mankind believes, as in generality of mankind, that there's one God and serve him, don't do evil things, do good things, they say, shall we believe as the foolish believe? So that they think they are somehow special, that they have access to some important, some guidance that other people don't have access to, and they are fools. Allah innahum humus safha walakin la ya'lamun, in truth it is they who are the foolish, but they know not. وَإِذَا لَقُوا al-lazina آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا, and when they meet those who heed warning, they say, we believe. Okay? But when they are alone with the shaitans, they say, وَإِذَا خَلُوا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّ مَعَكُمْ, we are with you, إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ, we are but mocking. Now this is the attitude of the people who are the al-kafirun, as in when they are with their friends, their core group of friends, their elitist friends, or the al-kafirun, the company, then they make fun of the believers. And the word shaitan in this context means that the evildoers. It doesn't mean some sort of supernatural force. That's the ash-shaitan, the one who was thrown out of heaven. This is just shayateen, which is a generic term. So when they meet their evil-doing friends, they say, we are with you, and we are just mocking. Allahu yastahzi'u bihum, God mocks them. وَيُمَدُّهُمْ فِي طُغْيَانِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ, and assists them in wandering blindly in their own inordinacy. Now this is interesting. God is assisting them in wandering blindly, as in he is giving them resources, he's giving them wealth and children to cause more corruption, because God said in the Qur'an, he says that we help these and those, we help the believers and the disbelievers, and I'm paraphrasing here, and our bestowal is not limited. So God, if you want to go down the path of evil, God will help you in that path too. He will make it easy for you. And if you want to go in the path of good, then God will help you in that path too, because God is just. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ أَشْتَرُوا الضَّلَالَةَ بِالْهُدَىٰ, these are they who sell guidance for error. فَمَا رَبِحَتْ تِجَارَتُهُمْ وَمَا كَانُوا مُهْتَدِينَ, and so their transaction profits them not, and they are not rightly guided. Now so they have access to guidance, and they have decided to sell it for a cheap price, as the Qur'an puts it in many places. They have decided to leave it aside and focus on materialism, on efficiency, on common sense, as they put it. So they have access to guidance, and they have sold it, again using Quranic terms, they have sold it for a cheap price. Their transaction obviously profits them not, and they are not rightly guided. So these are the al-kafirun. And then it goes over their example in ayat 17 and 19, an example of someone lighting a fire and the lightning, and then it finally ends in ayat 19, where it says, Wallahu muhitu bil kafirin. But God encompasses those who spurn guidance while claiming virtue, which is Brother Gerrans' rendering of al-kafirun. But basically what these people are is that these are a very specific group of people who are maybe in the ranks of the believers, and they certainly act that way, as in they dress up in the same garb as the believers and they talk the same talk, but they don't really, their actions are not their actions are in opposition to what they claim. And that in many places in the Quran, Muhammad was told to beware of them. And this group has much in similarity with the munafiqun, the hypocrites, which again is munafiqun is in the term of the Quran is means someone who is wavering, and he believes but he doesn't really believe. So when the going gets tough, he runs away, and when it's easy, he comes back. And that's the idea behind the munafiqun. But the al-kafirun are different, because they are convinced that they are believers, but they are not actually believers, and they're actually doing more harm than good. So this is a sort of in a nutshell the idea behind these three groups. I hope this video was of some use to you. If you think it's worth sharing, please share it with your friends and family. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And God willing, I will meet with you next time. Peace be upon you.